divine feminine. We will notice a mask when we see one. And that's why those masculines, they are not impressive when they don't have their feminine. So, divine feminine, your lovely body, divine masculine, your mind, and the left I call the masculine, the right the feminine, and I can explain, but I won't right now. Meantime, the blade of yours is you being able to use your mind with the inner growth mindset so that you may consistently be, if you want, your own divine feminine, divine masculine, and not be confused by that which others actively are confused by. So they don't know that they're a person and that the capacity to be their inner child adult is right in the forefront. Why? Well, if you are on a true spirituality journey, it means you live a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self. The 5D collective, we know about Jesus. It's called Christ consciousness, and the many paths we choose love and bliss and delight. So you don't do the I have pain in my heart because of heartbreak. We are Fibonacci brains, expanding consciousness, at least here. Spiritual self-help is for people who are ready to be on the journey to their own wholeness. Okay, and so like the divine feminine, a jaguar, we know how to be a person who knows I'm myself. Who are you? My name's Maria. I have a whole self. My 1-year-old, my 3-year-old, all of me is here, and I speak like a crow. And you might not like it, but I won't sacrifice my integrity and my own conscious, unconscious, and relationship with that which is the infinite Purusha Prakriti, God, Akash, Spirit, you call it what you want, but you have a direct connection to Source and that which is pure consciousness, unconditional love, when you are it, when you know functional adult love language. So you know how to do emotions, not by projecting. You actively know how to be a restorative, self-aware, accountable, regulating. You come here for more of that. Why? Because you're a creature of habit, and because you can build a community on earth. And so with that, we get to heal trauma one person at a time, one relationship at a time, because the way beauty is our mindset. And it is being with people that know how to tap into the infinite higher human conscious potential experience. Because standing still and being spiritual, we're mixed. Here's our lovely mystical shaman and the wild woman, remember? So these are all significant to the lovely divine feminines that are watching right now, and that lovely hummingbird who can fly no matter the size. So we're not cursed because of our clairs. No, we know how to actively be around those who are wanting to move into becoming pachas. The Enlightenment Soul Age group is accessible. Anyone who can see above the fray becomes that lovely eagle, and with the wisdom of the owl, which also again involves your body. So your body and your heart and your mind, they're all a part of that which people call soul, and we can call it soul self, tree of life. It's you, and we're going to stop there. It's you in the capacity of renewal of all that which comes up. Those choppy waters are not laundry. They're called emotions, and you persevere with the left and right. And that's why fruitfulness comes to you and enlightenment. Okay, and so you continue a journey here if you want. Meantime, let's continue chit-chatting about those who are divine feminines. And what I really wanted to share with this episode is how we do not tend to this. What other people say about us doesn't matter. It is our mission to not be ashamed of what we have done, and that's called integrity. So when you know how to be yourself, you didn't lose yourself. And you will know if you've done things that you're ashamed of. And you don't identify with anything that is a mistake if you are your own divine feminine, because it's called I'm flawed and imperfect, but with integrity and with consistency, I will make amends and I will become the version of myself that I want. So once again, for those who need to reclaim their inner child, they first go to therapy, then they expand their window tolerance to window welcome, and then we can keep working together. And when you meet masculines, you're not impressed. I'm not impressed by masculines. They are not Lucifer, devils, demons, or evil. They are all human beings who can make use of a good therapist because their unconscious is actively not a part of their day-to-day. And so it's not impressive to see them not harness the feminine that would allow all of those masculine traits to come forth. And I'm using my own words to explain this, but let me go and grab this lovely rabbi who shared some tidbits of wisdom. And as we move forward, let me also remind you, thank you, Sadhguru, every word you utter, every action you take, your very existence, is it for everyone's well-being or is it just about you? And then he says, just fix this one thing to determine the nature of your life. Now, you don't need fixing, you're not broken. However, when you have functional adult love language, you're going to be a person who thinks of all. When you have the adaptive child, you're going to think of your in-group. And then you're going to also think of yourself being right, wrong, and that's something uninteresting. Again, to the divine feminine, there's that mask. We got a low self-esteem person, and they are actively a 3-year-old with a 16-year-old who wants the floor. They're going to get the floor. That's what a divine feminine does. We don't do anything except for give Cusco the floor. And in fact, like at the end, we put up with the bullshit because really, with the safety behavior on, you're not going to get anywhere. It's called the shame cycle for a reason. There's an inner critic, outer critic. It's called self-bridal expression for a reason. It's called an adaptive child for a reason. And we don't even bother with its projection, meaning that it's something that's going to be a mask that those Cuscos are going to tell Pacha. They're going to say, this is who you are, Pacha. And Pacha is going to be like, sure, Cusco. Yeah. Okay. The life within you, the life within us, again, we know who we are when you know who you are. But you also know when you meet somebody who doesn't accept that you're telling them who you are. The thoughts and feelings of a differentiated self is, I'm Maria, I know what I'm talking about. If you begin to interrupt me and try to correct me anytime I'm talking to you, you're not letting me be the life I am. But I'm not going to lecture you about it because I learned all about the masks. And that's because masks are quite, again, fascinating. So let me continue with the stories. This rabbi goes on to say that masculines, there's 39 ways in the Torah that they can take shape. And then that there's only one feminine. And it's only with the feminine, though, that you actively can harness what is your potential. And that's exactly why he says all can be capsulated in one space. The masculine elements and the many masculine elements, they need that feminine to nurture and then to also, though, he says, capture, contain, and give limitations. So any person who actively does that, they will be the silverbacks, that one, and you'll see the Peter Pans with their group, the lost boys, lost girls, lost days. That's not what we have here. That's why I'm trying to help you understand. When you know I have my integrity, which is I will not affect you physically, emotionally, and mentally. So that means if somebody says, I don't like you, you do not try to argue with them. You allow yourself to look for a conversation. That's what functional adults do if they want one. The adaptive child typically won't want one. Okay, and so that's why, again, when we have a masculine that does not have their feminine, it means they don't know how to be their authentic self. We have a mask, not us, the other individual. It's a Pacha and a Cusco. Okay, so hopefully that's organized things for you. And the feminine element, again, will not be pain when the hard to commit men, he equated this to gender stereotypes. So when the masculines consistently are lost, the feminine are not going to actually hold them. The only people who try to hold on to, let me break this one down. You choose if you want to be your authentic self, and if you want to, one, go and get good therapy and then continue with personal development, spiritual life, and self-help. Or if you're going to be a member of a herd who's going to have one human being who's your feminine, that's going to be your leader. You're going to look up to them. They're on a pedestal, and there you go. And when I see them, I spot them like a hawk. And that's why the divine feminine will know, okay, there's a mask, there's another one, and it doesn't matter if they have clairs or not. You're going to notice who the people are because of how they're going to approach those who are different. It is in the moment that you are presented with someone who's different than you, then I will get to see what you're made of. Are you made of that which is expanding human consciousness? So are you a piece of consciousness who understands the very sentence that our lovely Sadhguru, where are you? Everything in existence is the same energy, manifesting itself in a million different ways. If you're a divine feminine, you already know this intuitively. I learned it from God and Jesus. You're all my brothers and sisters. Then I expanded with clairs, and I got an oversoul, and I got twin flames and soulmates. In fact, I got reminded by one of my twin flames about the ego self. I had forgotten about it because, exactly as I was saying, a divine feminine will nurture her entire oversoul, which is all and beyond, not just one person. You will actively be an individual with uncontrolled love in the forefront if you are with integrity. And it means that you do not actively treat another human being in any way, shape, or form that you would not want to be treated. That's also why you can speak to me whatever you want. Oh, polyamory, you're a masochist, you're whores. Well, sure, whatever. I'm not flinching. You didn't insult me. That's your opinion. I can respect it. I'm going to ask, do you want to stay in the room or shall I go? That's going to be my question for you. And that's the exact space that you'll notice others who have a herd and they like to be their leaders. But you can try telling somebody you're putting someone on a pedestal. I've done that before. They're treating you like a piece of shit. You keep putting them on a pedestal. What are you doing? Yes, watch what happens when you get masks. It's funny. So you learn from your oversoul how people allow themselves to be treated. And a feminine, believe me, Rabbi, oh, we're not painfully walking away. We actively are happily walking away. And what it really is a good thing. We don't have to watch as they actively allow themselves to be treated like, good boy, good girl, did you do a good job today? That's exactly what it feels like whenever I'm watching anyone who doesn't have the capacity to know who they are. And I don't watch. This is in the past. In my teenage years, I would see things. I'm like, that's interesting. Then I got older. Interesting again. And then I got a little bit older. Wow, okay, I'm pretty much, and then I got attachment trauma informed. Thanks, Patrick Tiahan. So when I see people selling themselves to the lowest bidder, I usually mind my own business because I got told to mind my own business every time. And it doesn't stop. You know why? Because some people, they don't want to be their self. They don't have healthy self-worth. Oh, and they don't stop taking things personally either. And then they have somebody on a pedestal telling them exactly what integrity means. And you watch from afar as they don't know what integrity means, because if they did, then they treat people with the same respect and kindness that every person would want to be treated when they're different. Teenagers, they do stuff like this instead of becoming what is a functional adult. The song, no one knows what it's like to be the bad man or the good. It doesn't matter. Put a super villain, put a superhero cape. You're going to hear them talk a talk and be, no one knows what it's like to be hated, to be faded, to tell lies. Seriously? You choose to lie. You choose to, this is all choice at a certain point. You don't choose the first 3 years of your life. You start choosing as an adolescent. Now it's the year 2024. We have we have better therapists. The ones who know what they're talking about versus the ones who say, as long as you don't hit them with a frying pan, it's all good. So anyone who tells me, I found it hard to believe that my first 3 years of life, sure, Cusco, have a good time. I'm happy, I'm out. Ciao, see you later, alligator. But my dreams, they aren't as empty as my conscience seems to be. I have hours only lonely. My love is vengeance. Wow, vengeance. Seriously. Okay, that's never free. Okay, you have a ruminating cycle. You need a therapist for real, not pretend, not singing. This is only part of your healing journey. If you don't process and make sense of your narrative and of what's coming up, you're not going to integrate. The first 3 years of life, they're all implicit. So sensations, maybe images come up. If you don't make sense, I didn't have a child-centric environment. Let me welcome myself back home. That's what Patrick Tiahan is for. That's what therapy is for. When you're ready to love, and as he shares with his community, he says, hey, we don't need to do that forgiveness business. And that is a good point for me to share and stop so that we can move to our next topic. Because as long as someone is not ready to forgive their own self and their own home because of the unkindness that came from all of it, Patrick Tiahan's biggest childhood regret is that it made him unkind. I have no regrets of my childhood. I have no regrets of my choices. I have one thing that if I'm forced, one thing that I can say I'm ashamed of, but at the same time I'm not, because I was a kid like anybody else. One thing that if I have to, I'll regret, but if I go back in time, I'll do it again. I actively will speak the words I spoke, and I'm happy that that's the only human being I have a regret with. That's because, well, it's a long story that won't be shared, but if I have to choose, and the divine feminine, we don't have any mistakes, because I learned, and I learned, and I learned, and I kept learning. You know what I learned? Why would I ever treat anybody unkindly and with a closed heart when that means that they don't know love and they don't know kindness and I do? And then I would want to be treated with love and kindness in return. If I do unkind, unloving, and I want and expect, that's a contradiction. No, you bring forth one, what you want, one, what you would want, and two, what is the right thing, anyone? That's the clear conscious, which is why, again, what other people say, yeah, sure, keep talking. I'm not ashamed of Maria. Not will be ever, because FYI, the only people who actively try to make you ashamed of yourself, well, that's a sad story. And as a teenager, I already knew you can't please everyone. And really, it doesn't matter, because I don't fear inadequacy of liars, pants on fires. A mask is always going to be a Cusco, which is nothing that a divine feminine looks up to or fears, because it's called I don't know how to be myself. It's called you're volatile to your own mood swings. It's called not movie time. It's called instinct is your instinct. You know what I know about instinct? I'll tell you that. No one knows what it's like to be mistreated, to be defeated. Again, 3-year-old, 16-year-old, anyone, 1-year-old says, I remember my teenage friends and I whining like this. And then what else? No one knows how to say that they're sorry. And don't worry, I'm not telling lies. Yeah, that one is another one. Until they own themselves. So when you meet a person who finally becomes their authentic self, then you're going to know a person who knows how to say they're sorry. They know how to say I'm not lying. It's called the truly repenting part. And it's called a person who gets out of a shame button and becomes a heart button and says, I am a human. Use your human name. I want to be myself. I'm Ariel. I got a tail. I got a dad who doesn't want me to go to the surface. Hey, Eric. Here I am. Hi. You get all of this. It's not baggage. Don't call me baggage. I'm going to throw you out right away. Okay? So true love sticks around. Nobody weighs anyone down. Any of that sounds like a sacrifice, which means that those people will have been treated like that by their own. This is the part of where Terry Real, come on in. Anyone with unfinished business, before you know what true love is, go to Terry Real. He'll get you on board so you can actively have what is love life, which some of us know all about. It's no one knows what it's like to be the bad man, be the sad man with blue eyes. Anytime I hear this, does anybody not grow comfortableness with sadness? It's called about connection, FYI. And oh, you must do it though from your prefrontal cortex, otherwise you're using the temporal junction, and that's why people suffer. And the people who suffer the most, they like to call their emotions laundry. No, I'm joking, Zen master, don't take it personally. He won't if he's a grown human being. He'll actually figure it out, and maybe it will allow me to motivate someone to do more of what is called mindfulness. Hello, anyone? Mindsight? Anyone know how to put into practice that which they talk about? I do. That's why self-help for real, not pretend. But I won't make you comfortable. I won't make you uncomfortable either. I'll just say, okay, are you whining about personal development today? I want to do it, Maria. I want life now. Okay, you can whine, but remember, this is going to set you back. You're not doing anything different, whiner. You asked me to help you. I'm helping you. I told you I won't back off. Back to the story, and we'll close it out. So, instinct. The one thing that no one that has healthy self-worth will be ashamed of. My instinct is going to be whatever it is. I'm going to save my physical life first, which is why when someone says, you're so kind, no, I'm not. I'm a human. I'm a decent human. Please stop. Kindness, compassion, it will not be seen as such by those who do not welcome their self back home, by the way. They're going to make up shit in their brain, all of it. Though you can better bet. There's so many things that you will notice if you're a divine feminine that you just keep laughing. Because we got Krishna, Leela, Shiva, and Kali. Because again, it ain't personal, Maria. No, you know what? You're right. It's not. That's how it works. It's not personal when you know how to every day say, what do I want to wake up to? Me, Maria. I chose. Jesus taught me. God taught me. Not hard. Open heart. Otherwise, liar, liar, pants on fire. And why would I close my heart and take away love from me and my life because you don't know how to love? Sounds ridiculous. So it's very easy, again, to maintain the heart body, belly body, and that's energy, mental and physical, when you have mindfulness, mindful chit chat within you, the inner growth mindset and mindsight with introception. That's what, again, you get to do when you're ready for it and more of it. And it's really fun to be yourself. We're going to talk about that with healthy self worth and to stop taking things personally. Yes, we'll talk in our next episode. In the meantime, the story is, as Robert Sapolsky, he has written the book Determined. I haven't read it yet, but I have seen his interview and I've read the beginning of it. And I'm attachment trauma informed, so I know what he's talking about when he says your first 3 years of life are what matter and da 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 da. And so in this interview, he shares how instinct, you don't choose this. And that's exactly what I, again, keep learning from all of the smart human beings that know about attachment trauma. So I know Maria will protect Maria. I'm not ashamed of it. And I also know, by the way, I'm 4'9", which means that for my herd, I'm not meaningful when it comes to physical brute force. And I also know where I'm strong and where I'm weak. So my strengths and weaknesses. So whenever in my college years and my high school, whenever I was in group stuff, marketing, there were areas where I knew, because I have not strengths, but I have weaknesses, that I was less likely to be a member, to be called upon for those reasons. It didn't make me ashamed of myself. It made me know reasonably my herd is going to pick. It's like anything. If you want your herd to succeed, which it means you want them to get good grades, you want them to do well, you will understand. So being put to the side because you don't have certain types of effective qualities, this is what the Jacob brain does. It's being objective. Maria has traits. There's positives and negatives. Plus, I'm a good self-aware person because I have had good professors. And the ones that were the hardest are the ones who pointed out things that I was able to build with. And then know, okay, I can gauge where my strengths and weaknesses lie, and then I can gauge what our assignment is, and I can gauge where I'm of value and where I'm not of value. And any person who is evaluating a team is going to evaluate based on criteria. This is not something that offends anyone. It's something very straightforward. And I'm laughing because there's people who don't know how to be team members because they want it all. They want to hog it. And they're afraid of actively having team members. So that's where, again, you'll notice who has authentic self-worth because they won't be shy to share. They won't be shy to tell you what they will have as strengths or as weaknesses. They won't be ashamed. And actively, they will know what they can be good at, what they will be less likely to be good at, and what they will potentially fail miserably at. And I've done that before. So there is one thing I did in a job. I said, look, I'm not good at it. I'm telling you, I left this thing like a dog with a tail between my legs. And I was like, man, but I look pretty right now. Oh, and as I got told that I would not be paid for the job, I was like, well, yes, I wouldn't pay me either. That's exactly how it felt. Oh, but this is where it's okay. We all do things. I knew that it wasn't my strong suit. Nobody wanted to believe me. It's all in your head. Sure it is. Yeah, of course. You went in with the mind. Yeah, again, sure. So, anyways, the other story that I want to share as we close out is the situation. I find myself in this unfortunate situation. It's a very sad day for me. It was very sad for a number of reasons. But what I noticed was that one human being reacted in an effort to immediately bring safety in a way that is of importance. And the people who don't know how to watch body language didn't notice a little bit and a lot of minute details that instead I have throughout the years. So you'll notice those who will instinctively go and protect versus those who will instinctively be afraid and move away. Now, I'm a person who does not approach a big crowd. I will actively withdraw, observe, and look for exits, and then I will see if there's anything I can do. My body protects me because I'm not a strong, physically speaking person. I'm not ashamed of it. And when you see people who actively take certain types of steps, it's very interesting when others are under the illusion because of size. Yeah, so anyways, that's enough for this one. But yeah, divine feminine, anyone who accesses one, their whole self will be able to then access what I was just describing to you. It is the absence of you judging a person based on their personality, based on their day to day, based on all of it. So 3+ years of friendship, a nice group of people, okay? So there's a dynamic, it plays out consistently. And I have been able to observe a very specific number of body language movements, and I'm not the best observer at all things. So, for example, there's other stuff that I won't notice. And that's, for example, people who are into each other. This one's one that I don't notice. It's happened to me before where one of my friends actively lied to me in the presence of other friends, and later on things came to the surface because lies always come to the surface when you're a group. And as they did, I approached my closest friends, and they all said, you didn't notice? We all did, and you're the only one who's oblivious to stuff like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of chose to be oblivious to things like that. I don't want to read into any of that. But long story short, I'm oblivious to when, two people or whatever flirting goes on in a certain way that, yeah, I don't notice it again. So I'm not like, oh, what a big deal. I actually don't give a shit. What I am in tune to noticing is something of much more value than, people wanting to have business together, especially if it's meaninglessness. Because, see, if it's meaninglessness, that's exactly why my eyes don't perk up because, doesn't mean anything. After all, we all know about what to do, women. Women, come on. Remember, women, and I'm a woman, so I'm going to talk as a woman who fucks men. Remember, but I'm a conscious lover. I won't feel ashamed. Oh, no. And I've only had one human being. I don't even want to think about that. I knew it about me, and this person, I to this day, I want a treat. Please give me a treat right now. I'm not even kidding you all. Look at my face. Okay. And I'm done with this stuff because really, I cannot, beyond a shadow of a doubt, know why people don't go to good therapy. And then they want to be Pinocchio, until he becomes a real boy, yeah. That's a very good comparison. And so, ladies, gents, anyone, days, I'm not sure what the days, when you are a person who has this lovely capacity to be your own divine feminine, and so you're intuitive with clairs, and you have a relationship with Akash, this infinite spirit, it's a relational field. So I can explain it to you like a human too. I'm a nervous system, so are you. You have child parts, so do I. Mine are all alive with me, and I'm a nice 3-year-old with a 1-year-old with a 16-year-old and the grown-up human being here, infinite higher human conscious potential, right here. I'm life. I'm like this lovely tree of life. But not just this. I'm also soul. I'm the wild. Where's my wild woman? Where is she? That's exactly. Let's go find the wild woman, because that's what definitely I'm gonna say. And I know people are like, yes, this with the mystical shaman. But we'll so okay. So wild woman. Yes. Let's just put it this way. That those people who armor themselves shut because they don't become their inner child, because they got shamed as children, no security, whatever it is that happened, I feel bad, I'm so sorry. And then they go out doing what that one man said, which is feeling contempt, disgust towards me, and then shame. Yes, they're basically lifeless trees. So like Pinocchio and a wooden log, it's not even a ghost. I have had communication with those who are beyond. Yes, so I'm just saying, again, woo-woo lady, no shame, I learned. And then I was like, again, that's a good lesson. You already knew stuff. And I'm going to leave it. So again, welcome aboard, all of you. Please, let's move forward. Lovely 8-8 portal, huh? Those who stick around. So we're going to talk about life, people who have life with their inner child. So they also will be lovely wild women, because really we all are. We all have this lovely Purusha Prakriti, the feminine of you. You don't have to look at it with the feminine traits. I know that people confuse the word, even though, the fact is, if you're actively not wanting to embrace feminine traits, tells me that you have a yucky feeling with softness. So, you don't have to like softness, but again, that's the 1-year-old of you didn't want to be rough. 2, 3, and here's where, as somebody who gets to be told that I am very rough because I'm direct, there are differences, but I have a good relationship with softness and with masculine. So the beautiful combination of that, which is again energy, you'll know it once you have your own divine masculine, divine feminine in the forefront, and that's when you're not wearing a mask. And so when, again, we meet those who don't know softness, we won't be impressed. We also, though, won't take things personally, and we can tease and make fun of ourselves and each other and all that great stuff. Oh, and instinctively, every person's going to protect their life, and then some, they actively protect others in the absence of thinking of themselves. And that's where you will see things if you're a good observer. It doesn't mean it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, again, we don't have explicit memory. Those first 3 years of life are implicit. And this is the part of where being a mystic, and for anyone who knows about the infinite and beyond in a way of not sciences, we do have, each of us, a voice, a story, past lives, and we have connections. And so as a Akashic record reader, I can totally say that if I read this person's, for example, lives, which I haven't had the honor to give them an Akashic record reading yet, I'm pretty sure I'd find information that would help them to know who they are in this lifetime. And the other part is this, is that divine feminines know of the potential of all masculines. And the reason we actively will be more, quote unquote, upset at the feminines is because they're representation. And when I see feminines who are not a representation of what a divine feminine actually is, but that's when I mind my own business even more, because now I know it is personal, and that is not fair, because we all have a different journey that we come from and that we will go through. Okay, so once again, divine feminine is the body, divine masculine is the mind, masculine the left, chit chatter, feminine the right, where all the emotions. Until you are not your whole self, until you don't have your inner child and you're the adult, that's not a divine feminine yet. Just so that I break it down to you as a person for a minute. So spiritual self-help, spirituality, life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self means you can use your human name, be a differentiated self, and say, hey, I'm Ariel, I have a tail, my dad, this is who I am, this is my story, and I forgive. And we forgive not by, no, we welcome Sid, Manny, Diego, okay? We're a diverse herd. That's why I'm saying it's all restorative embodiment, self-desiring, aware, accountable, and regulating people here at IHP. We are ready and willing and beyond just that. This is where Christ consciousness, he taught me all about forgiveness, and so did God. And so while there are some who are not ready to be here, our group is here. Otherwise, you don't heal trauma one person at a time or relationship at a time, because in the absence of having more pachas out there in the world, we will not be able to create the environment of a safe haven, secure base for people who are authentically healing. It's like with Kylie and her boyfriend. Kylie's a narcissist. Her boyfriend's a sociopath. They're authentically healing. And on YouTube, they get hate mail, and they get death threats, and they get people who are nasty, and then they get more people who tell them being well is fucking boring. Really? So, IHP, being well is not fucking boring. Unconsciously loving, not fucking boring. Being happy, not fucking boring. And everything in the ventral vagal, not fucking boring. Actually, don't bring to us any of your torture chamber shit. Thank you very much. And any of that which is a negative story, because we don't need that. You can go to some Zen master who talks to you about emotions with being at laundry. The community here is ready and willing and wanting to stay open-hearted. That means you have done that with yourself and or are willing and ready and wanting. And I'm serious when I do things. I don't look for those who don't want to be a part of a community that is tapping into the infinite higher human conscious potential. That's where I am at. It's not a race. It's not something that you need a medal for. But again, it's serious business. The people who need us are people like Kylie and her boyfriend, and anyone who actively is struggling to get out of addictions and who is actively surrounded by the lack of educational people who listen to human beings who talk to them about lack of imagination for evil. There's still too many people who hear the word narcissist, sociopath, and actively are reactive to the word in and of itself. They're uneducated. They also don't know healthy boundaries because they actively talk about things in ways that you can tell that they're just doing. I'm going to cancel them. No contact. Nah, 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 nah. It sounds like little kids who are in an in group, and that's where we're going to leave it. So masks, they're very interesting, not impressive at all. And once they get impressive, it's because they're authentic, and therefore they join with or without Claire's, the land of the living, which would be people who know how to be their self with healthy self-worth. They don't take things personally, so they don't have chips on their shoulder. It doesn't matter what you believe in politically, religiously, all of that. We have actual intellectually stimulating and interesting conversations don't happen when you're yelling at each other. And actively, that's not even going to bring us anywhere. So, thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back with more. Have a good one.